Hi everyone, welcome back to Markwell, Miss Markwell, or hello if you're new to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you a sewing tutorial, the running stitch. For the purpose of the video I'm going to use a 6-strand thread, so you can clearly see the stitches when I'm sewing. You can use any thickness thread, whatever you have at home. I'm now going to tie a knot at the end of the long working thread, not the short end near the needle. So this is when I go to sew into the fabric, the thread will not pull straight out and the knot will act as an anchor. For this running stitch sample I'm going to be using white felt. You can use cotton, whatever material you have at home. And when you sew, you need to start at the edge of the fabric. Now I'm going to pierce the fabric with the sharp end of the needle and then pulling the needle up through the material. You always want to keep the knot of the thread and the messy part of the sewing at the back, and you want the front of the fabric and the stitching to look neat. So as you can see, the knot is stopping the thread from pulling straight through the felt, the material. So now I'm going to create a line using the thread. I'm going to leave a gap. I'm going to maybe leave about a centimetre gap, and then I'm going to go back down with the needle, piercing the material and then pulling the needle through, and then there you go, you can see I'm pulling the thread through and you've created a nice little line. I always like to check the back of my fabric and to see if it's tidy and all that, and to make sure the threads haven't tangled up. Then I'm going to leave a gap and then I'm going to go back up into the material. So pull the needle and also pull the thread through. Right, now consider the tension and don't pull too tightly so the thread will bunch up. Keep a nice steady tension and also don't have it too loose as well. Then leave a gap and stitch another row, needle down, and then pull the needle and thread, creating more stitches. Also make sure your line is straight and even. I always tend to go a little bit wonky with my line, so it is a technique which I do teach my students where you draw directly onto the fabric using a pencil and then you sew using that line as a guide, and then back up again and then pulling on the thread, pulling it all the way through, making sure it doesn't get tangled into a knot. Keep an eye on your thread at all times because it becomes really annoying if it does get into a knot, and my students get really frustrated when it does. When I'm sewing, creating the running stitch, I like to use the up and down motion with the needle, but I have some students that prefer it this way, where they take the needle, they gather up the fabric, like as you can see, they're picking up the gaps of the fabric, weaving the needle through, and it creates more stitches, but I tend to find they can become quite uneven if you do it like this. So running stitches are used in hand sewing and tailoring to sew basic seams, hems and gathers. With the running stitch you want to achieve loosely spaced rows of short running stitches, but you can be experimental and you can make the stitches longer and the gaps shorter, or have the stitches really short and the gaps bigger, but I prefer to tend to keep my space rows even and equal. But it's up to you. Be experimental. As long as you're sewing, happy days, Oh, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed the sewing tutorial. There's going to be lots more to come. Please like and subscribe and do whatever you want to do if you like what you see. What else? I don't know. Take care and bye for now. Bye.